You're pregnant. That boy. I'm going to kill him. I swear, I'm going to kill him for this. This was the fire that burned in Elena's mind. The single, furious thought that exploded when her fingers closed around the small, plastic pregnancy test hidden in her daughter's bathroom trash. Her 17-year-old daughter, Maria. Rage was her first, hot, instinctive reaction. But as she stood there, the cold bathroom tile beneath her feet, a different feeling washed over her. A memory. She was 17 again, standing in her own mother's kitchen, voice trembling, speaking the words that would change her life forever. And she remembered the response. Not a hug. Not understanding. But a slap of words so sharp they cut a wound that never fully healed. In that quiet bathroom, 20 years later, Elena faced a choice. To feed the fire of that old anger, or to drown it with a new, more powerful emotion. Hello and welcome. To everyone here to learn English through stories that feel real, we are grateful to have you. This is a story about that choice, so find a comfortable space and just listen. Let the English language pull you into the world of a mother and a daughter. To understand this moment, you must understand Elena's life. It was a life of two alarms. The first rang at 4:30 in the morning, in the deep, dark silence before the city woke up. This was for her job as a cleaner in a large, empty office building. Her world was the hum of a vacuum cleaner and the smell of lemon-scented disinfectant. Her second alarm was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a signal to put on a comfortable uniform and sturdy shoes for her shift as a waitress at a busy local restaurant. Here, her world was the clatter of plates, the shouts from the kitchen, and the constant, tired ache in her feet. Her reward, the reason for it all, was her daughter, Maria. Maria was 17, with her mother's intelligent eyes and a heart that was almost too kind. She saw her mother's sacrifice. She felt the weight of it in the silent apartment when Elena was at her second job. Maria's dream was to go to college, to become a nurse, to finally, one day, be the one who could tell her mother, "You can stop now. You can rest." Elena's entire existence was a bridge, built with her own sweat, for her daughter to cross to a better future. And her single, deepest, most private fear was that Maria would fall from that bridge, just as she had. But Maria was still a girl. And in the chaos of high school, she found a distraction. A boy. Daniel. He was a quiet presence, a break from the constant pressure she felt at home. He was an escape. And in a moment of bad judgment, of teenage carelessness, that escape led to a consequence that would now define her life. A missed period. A test bought with shaking hands at a pharmacy across town. And the two blue lines that made her world stop. She hid the test, wrapped in tissue, at the very bottom of her bathroom trash can, a secret buried in secret. But a mother's eyes are like a detective's. Elena, looking for a missing hairbrush, saw the corner of the plastic stick. She knew what it was before she even pulled it out. And the fire of her fear instantly turned into the rage of her first thought. I'm going to kill him. But then came the memory. And the fire went out, leaving only the cold ashes of her own past. She took the test and walked to the kitchen. She placed it carefully in the center of the small wooden table. And then, she Saturday. And she waited. When Maria came home from school, the first thing she saw was her mother, sitting silently at the table. The second thing she saw was the test. Her book slipped from her hands and crashed to the floor. Her face went pale. Mama. I can explain? Please? I'm so sorry. Elena looked at her daughter. She saw the pure, animal fear in her eyes. And in that fear, she saw a reflection of her own 17-year-old self. The anger was gone. All that was left was a profound, heartbreaking sadness. Elena slowly held out her own hands, turning them over, palms up, on the table. Look at my hands, Maria. Maria, confused and terrified, looked at her mother's hands. They were not the soft hands of a mother in storybooks. They were rough. The skin was dry. There were small scars and calluses from years of cleaning and carrying. When I was your age, my dream was to be a teacher. I loved books. I loved history. When I told my mother I was pregnant with you, she looked at me and she said, "Your life is over. You have ruined everything." She said I was a disappointment. She told me to leave. A single tear escaped from Elena's eye and traced a path through her tiredness, and in a way, she was right. The life I planned was over. The life of a teacher was over. But she was so wrong about everything else. Because you were never the mistake, Maria. You were the reason. You were the light that kept me going on the darkest days. How could I ever make you feel the way I felt? How could I ever put that darkness in your eyes? The cycle, a chain of anger and disappointment that had stretched for a generation, broke in that instant. It broke not with a shout, but with a quiet confession. It broke not with a slap, but with a tear. Maria rushed to her mother, falling to her knees and burying her face in her mother's lap, sobbing. Elena placed her rough, tired hand on her daughter's head, and she cried too. They cried for the lost dreams, for the difficult path ahead, and for the love that was, finally, stronger than fear. The days that followed were not easy, but they were united. The kitchen table, once a place of confrontation, became their command center. They got notebooks. College is not cancelled, Maria. It is postponed. We will make a new plan. A better plan. We will. Elena asked to meet Daniel. He came to their apartment, pale and nervous. But Elena did not yell. She looked at him and said, "This is not just a problem. This is a responsibility. For all of us." They met his parents. It was a tense, awkward meeting in a quiet cafe. There was fear and blame in the air at first. But Elena, speaking from a place of hard-won strength, steered the conversation away from whose fault it was, and toward what they were going to do about it. It was the first time she had ever used her strength to build a bridge for someone else, instead of just carrying a burden alone. Months passed. Maria's body changed. Her belly grew. She continued her schoolwork from home, her determination now fueled by a new purpose. Elena worked her 2 jobs, but the exhaustion felt different. It was no longer a hopeless grind, it was a conscious, daily investment in a future that was taking a new, unexpected shape. The day Maria went into labor, she was terrified. In the bright, sterile hospital room, she gripped her mother's hand, her knuckles white. "Mama, I can't do this. I'm not strong like you. You are stronger. Because you are not alone. I am here. We are in this together. We can do this." And when Maria held her newborn daughter for the first time, she finally understood. She looked at the tiny, perfect face, and then she looked at her mother, her rock, her hero, her best friend. Tears of pure, overwhelming love streamed down her face. "You have the best grandma in the world." A single mother's greatest fear had come true. And by facing it with love instead of anger, she did not lose her daughter. She built a stronger family. She proved that our past does not have to define our future. The cycle was not just broken, it was replaced with a new legacy. A legacy of grace. Stories like this are why we learn English. To understand not just the words, but the feelings behind them. The love, the fear, the hope, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. If you want to continue learning English through powerful, emotional stories like this one, then subscribe to the channel. We help you train your ears and touch your heart with every new story. Thank you for listening. Keep practicing, and we will see you in the next story.